Have you been feeling unusually tired lately? Maybe a little foggy in the afternoon? Or noticing your socks leaving deeper marks around your ankles and telling yourself it's just stress, just age, just another long week? What if it's not? What if those small, almost forgettable symptoms are the earliest warning signs that your kidneys are quietly losing function right now, and you wouldn't feel a sharp alarm even if they were already 40 or 50% compromised? I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and I need you to hear this clearly. In the United States, millions of people are walking around with silent kidney decline, completely unaware, because kidney damage doesn't explode overnight. It builds quietly without pain, without drama, until a routine blood test changes everything in a single moment. And here's the part that should stop you in your tracks. One of the most overlooked triggers isn't what people eat. It's what they drink every single day, often believing they're making harmless or even healthy choices. But before fear takes over, lean in with me for a second, because this isn't a message of inevitability, it's a message of control. There are 3 simple science-backed drinks that, when used the right way, can reduce inflammation, ease vascular pressure inside your kidneys, and support natural filtration before serious damage ever begins. And by the time we reach the end of this conversation, you'll know exactly how to turn what's already sitting in your kitchen into a daily strategy that protects your kidneys quietly, consistently, and powerfully, starting today. Let's start with something most people completely underestimate: oxidative stress. You can't feel it, you can't see it, but inside your body it acts like microscopic rust, slowly corroding the delicate filters inside your kidneys. Those filters, called glomeruli, are not thick, solid shields. They are fragile networks of tiny blood vessels designed to filter waste with precision. And when oxidative stress builds from high blood sugar, chronic inflammation, processed foods, and constant stress, those filters don't fail dramatically. They wear down quietly. That's where black coffee enters the conversation, and not the kind topped with whipped cream and syrup. I'm talking about plain, unsweetened black coffee. Black coffee is rich in antioxidants, particularly chlorogenic acid, a compound shown to help neutralize free radicals before they damage vascular tissue. Several large U.S. population studies have found that individuals who drink 1 to 3 cups of black coffee per day are associated with a lower risk of developing chronic kidney disease or experiencing rapid kidney decline. Not because coffee is magical, but because its antioxidant profile may help protect endothelial function, the inner lining of blood vessels that determines how well blood flows through those microscopic filters. And blood flow is everything when it comes to kidney survival. I once worked with a 57-year-old patient who thought he was doing everything right. He had cut out soda, he rarely drank alcohol, but every morning he ordered 2 large flavored coffee drinks from a popular chain. When we reviewed the nutritional label together, he was consuming nearly 40 grams of sugar before 9 a.m. His fasting glucose crept upward, his blood pressure followed, and slowly, almost invisibly so, did his creatinine. It wasn't the coffee damaging his kidneys. It was the sugar spike, the syrup, the hidden metabolic stress. When he switched to plain black coffee, brewed at home, nothing added. His metabolic markers began stabilizing over the next few months. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily. And that word matters. Because this is the difference. Most people miss coffee itself is not the villain. The dessert in a cup version is. Black coffee contains virtually 0 sodium. It has almost no calories. It doesn't spike insulin the way sugar-loaded beverages do. And stable blood sugar reduces long-term inflammatory pressure on the kidneys, especially in individuals at risk for diabetes, one of the leading drivers of kidney failure in the United States. But nuance matters here. More is not better. Excess caffeine can increase heart rate and elevate stress hormones in sensitive individuals. The optimal range appears to be moderation, about 1 to 3 cups daily, ideally after hydration, not as the very first thing on an empty stomach. Even decaffeinated coffee still contains many of the antioxidant compounds responsible for vascular benefits. The goal isn't stimulation. The goal is protection. Now let me ask you something directly. Are you drinking coffee? Or are you drinking liquid sugar disguised as coffee? Be honest with yourself. Small daily habits compound, and this one alone may be influencing your kidneys more than you realize. And yet, even if you reduce oxidative stress and remove added sugars, even if you protect the chemical environment inside those filters, inflammation is only one side of the equation. Because kidneys don't just suffer from chemical damage, they suffer from force. And if pressure inside those microscopic filters remains high every single day, they will continue to scar no matter how many antioxidants you consume. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there is another factor often even more dangerous that most people overlook completely. Reducing oxidative stress is powerful, but chemistry isn't the only thing attacking your kidneys. Force is. High blood pressure doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't flash warning lights. But inside your body, it behaves like a constant hydraulic surge, pressing against millions of microscopic filters that were never designed to withstand that level of pressure for decades at a time. Imagine running water through a fine mesh screen at high force all day, every day. Even if the screen is clean, the pressure alone will eventually stretch it, scar it, and weaken it. That's exactly what sustained hypertension does to your glomeruli. And here's what makes this dangerous. You can be lowering inflammation, drinking black coffee correctly, avoiding sugar, and still be silently damaging your kidneys if your blood pressure remains elevated. This is where hibiscus tea becomes more than a trendy herbal drink. It becomes strategic. Hibiscus is rich in anthocyanins and polyphenols, plant compounds, known for supporting vascular relaxation and improving endothelial function. Multiple clinical studies have shown that regular consumption of hibiscus tea can reduce both systolic and diastolic blood pressure in adults with mild to moderate hypertension. In some trials, the reductions were comparable to early lifestyle interventions recommended in primary care settings. Why does that matter? Because lower pressure means less mechanical strain on those fragile kidney filters. Less strain means slower scarring. And slower scarring means preserved filtration capacity over time. I remember a woman in her early 60s, active, not overweight, never smoked. Her blood pressure hovered around 145/90. It's just slightly high, she told me. Nothing serious. That mindset is common. But inside her kidneys, that slightly high translated into constant microtrauma. We didn't overhaul her life overnight. We made one strategic shift. She replaced her afternoon soda with a cup of unsweetened hibiscus tea. No syrups, no sweetened packets, just steeped leaves and consistency. Within 8 weeks, her readings dropped into the low 100s and 30s. Not perfect, but meaningfully improved. More importantly, her kidney labs stabilized instead of trending upward over the following year. The key wasn't intensity, it was rhythm. But let me ask you something directly. Do you actually know your blood pressure today? Not what it was last year. Not what you think it usually runs. Today. Because millions of Americans are walking around with numbers quietly high enough to cause long-term renal damage without feeling a single symptom. And here's an important nuance. If you are already taking antihypertensive medication, hibiscus can amplify the effect. That's not a reason to avoid it, but it is a reason to monitor carefully. Smart prevention is strategic, not reckless. Now pause with me for a moment, because here's the uncomfortable truth most people don't want to hear. You can calm oxidative stress, you can lower vascular pressure, and your kidneys may still struggle. Wait, because there's one factor almost nobody talks about seriously enough, and it may be affecting you every single afternoon without you realizing it. Even if inflammation is controlled and pressure is reduced, your filtration system cannot function efficiently without adequate flow. And if that flow slows down, even slightly, waste begins to linger longer than it should. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there is another factor, often even more underestimated, that may be quietly undermining everything you're trying to fix. Even if you reduce inflammation and ease vascular pressure, your kidneys still depend on one basic non-negotiable element: flow. Because your kidneys are not storage organs, they are dynamic filtration plants. Blood enters, waste exits. That entire system depends on adequate fluid volume, moving through delicate capillary networks every second. When hydration drops even slightly, renal blood flow decreases. Filtration slows. Waste particles like urea and creatinine linger longer in circulation. Over months and years, that subtle slowdown compounds. And here's what most people don't realize. Research shows that even a 1 to 2% drop in hydration status can begin to affect circulation efficiency and cognitive performance. It doesn't feel dramatic. It feels normal. Slight fatigue, a mild headache, darker urine in the afternoon. Nothing alarming, which is exactly why it's dangerous. This is where hydration stops being a wellness trend and becomes a kidney protection strategy. Cucumber-based hydration is one of the simplest, most overlooked tools available. Cucumbers are composed of approximately 95% water. They provide natural fluid support with minimal calories, minimal sugar, and without overwhelming potassium levels when used moderately. Unlike fruit-heavy smoothies loaded with mango banana or juice concentrates which can spike blood glucose and stress insulin pathways, a simple cucumber blend supports flow without metabolic overload. I once worked with a 49-year-old executive who carried a large insulated tumbler everywhere. He believed he was well hydrated, but when we reviewed his intake, most of it was flavored sparkling water and occasional energy drinks. His labs showed borderline elevated creatinine. Nothing alarming yet. We made one quiet change, a midday cucumber smoothie, blended cucumber filtered water, ice, fresh lemon, and mint. No syrups, no powders, no hidden sugars. Within a few months, his afternoon fatigue decreased, his urine color normalized, and his kidney markers stabilized instead of continuing their slow upward trend. It wasn't magic, it was physiology. Adequate hydration improves renal perfusion, the actual flow of blood through the kidneys. Studies consistently show that individuals with chronically low fluid intake have a higher risk of kidney stones and progressive kidney dysfunction compared to those who maintain steady hydration patterns. The key word is steady, not extreme, not gallon challenges, not detox fads, just consistent, intelligent fluid intake. Let me ask you something honestly. How much plain fluid do you actually drink each day? Not coffee, not soda, not alcohol. Real hydration, because many people overestimate their intake simply because they are holding a cup. And here's the powerful connection when you combine reduced oxidative stress from black coffee, lowered mechanical pressure from hibiscus tea, and restored flow through smart hydration. You are addressing the three primary stress pathways affecting kidney filtration, chemical, mechanical, and circulatory. But here's the turning point. The most decisive factor isn't inside the cup at all. It's inside your daily rhythm. 1 week of perfect hydration followed by months of neglect changes nothing. A single healthy smoothie cannot compensate for chronic dehydration. Kidneys respond to patterns, not bursts of motivation, and that realization should shift how you think about prevention entirely. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there is one final truth that determines whether these strategies actually protect you long-term, and it may be more uncomfortable than any drink choice you make. If there is one message I want you to walk away with today, it's this: your kidneys do not fail overnight. They decline quietly, slowly, and often without pain. But they can also be protected the same way, quietly, steadily, and consistently. You are not powerless in this. Small daily decisions, choosing black coffee over sugar-loaded drinks, replacing soda with hibiscus tea, staying intelligently hydrated, may seem simple, but over months and years, they compound in ways that truly matter. Know your numbers, check your blood pressure regularly, ask your doctor about your creatinine and estimated GFR. Pay attention before symptoms force you to. If this conversation helped you see your health differently, do me one important favor: save this video. You may not need it tomorrow, but months from now, when you look at your lab results or feel something isn't quite right, you'll be glad you can return to it. And subscribe to this channel so you don't miss future evidence-based medical guidance designed to help you protect your kidneys before damage becomes irreversible. My goal is simple: to give you practical, science-backed tools you can actually use in real life. Your kidneys work for you 24 hours a day. They filter, regulate balance, and protect even while you sleep. Taking a few intentional steps each day to support them is not complicated, but it is powerful. And if you start now, not next year, not when things get worse, but now, you give yourself the best possible chance to maintain strong kidney function for decades to come. You still have time, and that time matters.